Hi, I'm Ron Nutter, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get the Amazon Fire TV stick talking to your Caavo 4K HD. And that starts now. I initially wasn't going to use the Fire TV stick, but for those of you who followed my earlier journeys with the Amazon Fire TV Gen 1, and that's the square box, still a great box, but it and Caavo just don't play well together, and I think that's directly resulted because it is an older box. I mean, let's face it, it's well over 5 years old, and problems I ran into is occasionally I wouldn't get video from it. Sometimes it couldn't get remote control access, and the best you can hope for really with the 4K, with the Amazon Fire Gen 1 is your Caavo remote's going to be a glorified remote. So at that point, you're probably still going to end up using this. So I've stopped even trying to integrate that, and I went into with the Amazon Fire Stick, and this is the latest version. I've got this like back in November, December last year. I do want to try the latest iteration, but that's a little bit of money right now. But this is more kind of proof of concept, because with this being latest generation out of the Fire Stick, I thought, what the heck, can't hurt to try. What I ran into is it will do, using Caavo's term, and I'm using air quotes here for the use of it on the podcast, it does the deep linking. The APIs in this support it. Just the original Fire TV just simply can't do it. And that's fine. I mean, technology only lasts for so long. And by the way, for those of you who are not aware of it, this is being simulcast to the techbiteswithronnutter.com podcast. It's available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Android, you name it, it's probably on there. Because I wanted to give you an option of being able to, when you can't watch the video, at least see what's going on. Everything I talk about here is in the show notes on both techbiteswithronnutter.com and on YouTube. So I've got it in both places. Now, to get the Fire TV stick to work, and actually I'm going to switch over to what I call demo cam. Now, that's the Fire TV stick we all know and love. There's really only two connections on it. Of course, the HDMI that you're familiar with, and then the USB connector that it uses for power. Now, for this to work, you're going to need another piece of the puzzle, and this is the wired Ethernet adapter. Now, this piece goes into the side of the Amazon Fire TV, and then you'll put a wired Ethernet connection in, and then the power for the Fire TV stick. And that was really the best way I saw to do it. Now, I have tried with the little extension dongle that comes with the Fire TV, because I didn't want this sticking right into the back of the Caavo, and then you had extra cabling. So I'm trying to keep just HDMI cables in the back of the Caavo. And what I found out is this doesn't really get this beyond the cable management that's in the back. So you're either going to need to do one of two things. Either get a longer HDMI extension cable, or plug this into the back of the Caavo unit itself, and then use the wired Ethernet adapter. And this is only about 15 bucks. And actually, this and this are almost the same price, depending on when you find the different pieces on sale. So it does work. Don't get me wrong. It is an option. All the steps that are involved are in the show notes, either on the podcast site or on YouTube. Now, what I did have to do, even with the Fire TV Gen 1 box, I had downloaded the Caavo app that gets you to where Caavo can deep link into the Amazon Fire Stick. And I found I had to, even though it was on my Amazon account, I still had to reinstall it when I put this device in, because it knew it was there, but it had to go through an installation process, and then I got the screen you're supposed to get when everything fully integrates. So, short story is this is an option if you don't have the $100 for the Fire TV Cube. This is better than nothing, and especially if you're going to be traveling some, because if the parts that I've talked about with the Traveler Smart Home, this is a component worth considering. So that way, if you have this, and that's the only Amazon Fire Stick you've got, when you leave home, you simply unplug this out of the Caavo, put it in. I've got a little Pelican 1010 case that I store the power supply, and no, not a Pelican 1010. There's another case, but I've got it in the, I'll put it in the show notes. And all this goes in along with the remote. Now, if you are not going to use the remote for extended period of time, do yourself a favor. Take these batteries out, because I have ruined remotes in the past because I forgot and left batteries in. Even though they'll sit in there for months, over time they have the potential to start leaking. So you don't want to leave that in there. And I do that for any of the remotes. So what I'll do in this case is take the batteries out. I have a little plastic container. It's of a particular brand name, but I didn't, it's one, you don't have to use that one. There's any out there. And when I don't use batteries for a prolonged period of time, I put them in the freezer, and that will let them last up to several years. And when I do need them, I pull them out, use them, and I can use them while they're frozen, although it will deplete the batteries a lot quicker because they still need to kind of warm up to room temperature. Now, if you are traveling and want to use this, what I suggest doing, now these are the Amazon Basics batteries that ship with it. Consider getting the Eneloop AAAs, or if your remote for whatever streaming media receiver you're going to use has AA's, then use the Eneloop AA's, because that's one less thing. You have one set of batteries for the remote, and you have a spare set of batteries on top of that. So that's one less thing you want to try to run down, because let's face it, we've all been in a hotel and in whatever passes for the gift shop or convenience stores. Oh, you can get batteries, but you'll pay 3 to 4 times what they're really worth. So having rechargeables with you, having one pair for the remote and a spare pair. So if you're going to be gone for a prolonged period, that is definitely a good thing to have with you, because I don't like throwing out batteries. And really, over time, if you use them a fair amount, you'll actually come out cheaper doing rechargeables. They're a little higher cost up front, but they will last for many years. I'm still on a set that I bought 3 or 4 years ago, and they're running fine. If I don't use them for a long period of time, I will just give them kind of a top-off charge, because they lose a certain, I think it's like 3 or 4% a month just sitting there. So over time, they will deplete themselves. So you don't want them to go all the way down, but you don't want to charge them every week, because that will also, the batteries are just not designed for that one. And this is true whether you're traveling or not. I try to use rechargeables when I can. So bottom line is, this is an option. The Fire Stick is certainly it. If you don't have the big cube, and I'm going to have to think about it, then this is, well, actually hold it this way, so don't want Amazon getting mad at me. So this is an option. And that way, if you're going to be traveling, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but sometimes you have to hear the same thing 2 or 3 times. That way, you only have to have one device. Something I have learned with the Caavo, thanks to my illustrious power company, who decided for no apparent reason to cut the power to the neighborhood I'm in, Caavo did get a little confused when it came back up, and I started seeing invalid input on the TV screen. Couldn't get anything out of the Caavo, nothing. So what I finally ended up doing, when all my other troubleshooting didn't yield anything, is I unplugged the Caavo, let it sit for about 15, 20 seconds, nothing major. Then plugged it back in, and then it took right off. So I don't really fault the Caavo. It was more probably when the power came back on, and it may have gotten it a little confused, because then everything just simply started working. And to be fair, the Caavo is not plugged into a surge protector. So had I had it on a surge protector, and it is going to be going on one this weekend, that very well could have avoided some of the problems. So lesson learned on that one. I've also got to do a bunch of rewiring, because I've got more things off one outlet and I am running out of little places to plug them into. So really, this is worthwhile. I'm also looking at a Bluetooth keyboard. It just came in today, and I just got it working a few minutes before I started doing this video. So you have the potential of using this with a web browser, and a keyboard. So while you're traveling, you can make the Fire Stick do double duty. I'm looking at other uses for it as well. So this way you can travel pretty light, because I had looked at getting a TV on a stick. There's several options there, but I thought, well, that's one more thing to carry, and let's see if this can do double duty. The browser is a little limited, at least the Firefox browser, and there are some options to using Chrome, and I think Opera may even be one of them. And you can actually run a VPN on this one, which is interesting. I've worked with it a little bit, but it's still kind of a work in progress, and I'll be doing a video on that very soon. So if you especially are in a hotel where you need to get this on hotel Wi-Fi because there's not a wired Ethernet connection, then you may want to consider using a VPN. And I'm looking at two different services, PureVPN and IPVanish. Still, it's real early in the process to see which one's going to work the best. I always like having more than one VPN, because I have seen situations in the past where one VPN service is getting blocked by whatever firewall may be on the hotel's network. So having another one to use is worthwhile, especially if you're out of the country and want to watch U.S. content. This should let you appear as if you're in the U.S. Now, some people use it so they can get around copyright restrictions. I'm not advocating that at all. I'm simply looking at, you've been paying for this contract, you're in a foreign country, and you want to be able to look at it. So this is something that, VPN is worthwhile. But anyway, that's material for another video, but I just wanted you to kind of get a sense for where I was thinking of going with this one. One of the things I'm not going to do is going into rooting this box, because I try to keep it as factory default as I can, so that way it's something that anybody can do, because not everybody wants to go in with a terminal app, hack into the kernel, make some changes. No, I want this to where if, say, something happened, I had to return it for an exchange, that it's pretty much the factory version right there. So as they say, that's pretty much, I think, all we can do at this point. Just basically, it does work with Caavo. So it is, if money's running a little tight, let's face it, depending on how you bought the Caavo, you may have not been able to find it for the $200. In that case, it's been a little bit more. So money may be a little bit tight, but it's an option and it does work. I'm still kind of kicking the tires, but I'm just trying to keep you informed as things go, the different things that I'm running into. So thank you very much for your time. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so. I do appreciate everyone who does. And even if you don't, thank you for stopping by and watching the videos. When you do subscribe, make sure you click on that little bell icon, and that way you're supposed to get notified when I release any new videos. I'm trying to do about 2 to 3 a week. And those things are changing all the time. So if you have any questions, and I'm trying to get to everybody's questions that's come through, so I'm still running behind on that one. And there's sometimes never enough hours in the day, and some things I'm having to run down answers for. So there's a lot out there, and I probably won't be able to try everything, but I'll be happy to do what I can, because I kind of like experimenting with different things. And what I'm trying to do with these videos is document enough of what's not written down to help you get past some bumps in the road, if and when you do go down this path, and if you might happen to have any problems. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you in the next video.